Is there something going on with Etsy? Is Etsy going downhill? Is this the beginning of the end, or maybe the end itself? Okay, I'm going to be really blunt in this video, and some of you might not like it. But a lot of people on the internet and on TikTok are complaining about Etsy. They're saying it's not worth your time, that there's no room to compete, and that if you do start a shop, that it's just gonna get shut down. And a lot of sellers are getting really nervous. So today I'm going to cut through all of this crap, and I'm just going to give you the honest, direct truth. First off, let me state that your 9-to-5 is no longer the safest option. You might feel like it's safest in the moment, but it is actually one of the most risky things you could be doing long term. Let me ask you this. Are your wages keeping up with inflation? Is your current job going to give you enough for retirement? Will you ever be able to afford the lifestyle you want while you are young enough to actually enjoy the lifestyle? Or do you feel like you're kind of just locked into this 9-to-5 job because you don't really have another option right now? But think about it this way. When you don't work for yourself, you have no control over what happens with your career or your livelihood. You put all of that control in someone else's hands, and ultimately you are a number. If your number doesn't fit into their P&L, you're out. So I would ask, who do you want to have control over your future and your options? Let's look at your options. What can we do as a side hustle? Go back to the old drop shipping, Amazon FBA. You better have a lot of capital if you want to get into that. You could do affiliate marketing. You could get into day trading, or you could do something like Etsy. And I would ask, what is the most tangible business model that will guarantee that you actually get what you have to offer in front of profitable customers on day one? And doing that without high startup costs and many, many months of preparation. That one is easy. It's Etsy. When I was about to become a new mom and I knew I wanted to stay home with my newborn instead of trying to go find a different corporate job, I was dog walking. I was house sitting. I was buying things and flipping it on eBay. I tried blogging. I tried content creation. And as someone who has tried so many different things, I can tell you that even today, Etsy is a really great option. Because with Etsy, it's just all about understanding who to sell to and what they want. And I've helped new Etsy sellers get their shops up and running and start selling products within 24 hours of opening the shop. There's all these haters on TikTok. They're saying it's oversaturated. The most recent published data at the timing of this filming shows that the number of sellers went from 7.5 million to 7.47 million between 2021 to 2022. Whereas the number of buyers compared to that 7.47 million is up at 95 million. And these are active buyers, which means they have made a purchase in the last 12 months. And that is incredible, especially in comparison to Amazon, which has 9.7 million sellers, and eBay, which has 18 million sellers. And this 7.47 million sellers, these are not sellers that are actively getting sales. These are just accounts. The numbers don't suggest that it's saturated, but I will say, if you have the sense that it seems saturated in search results, I want you to compare the number of good listings to bad listings, because Etsy is saturated with bad listings. The proportion of bad listings compared to good listings is completely leaning in that direction. Very few sellers actually have a proven strategy behind what they're doing. Now let's talk about the customers, because the customers on different platforms are completely different. Trust me, I sell on Amazon. Crazy customers sometimes. I sell on Shopify and I sell on Etsy. The Etsy customer is wildly different than the Amazon customer. Amazon has really, I would say, spoiled their customers in terms of creating sky-high expectations, specifically for turnaround times and return policies. So with Etsy, you own your policies. You can refuse returns. You can say no returns allowed, and Etsy will support that. It's near impossible with Amazon to get around their lenient return policy as a seller. With the Etsy customer, another thing is that they are a lot more patient. They're used to waiting oftentimes for customized or handmade items. Many Etsy customers know that if they want speed, they are going to have to pay extra for it in the form of a rush order fee. Now let's talk about your traffic, because ultimately when you start a business, traffic is often the biggest problem, right? Lead generation, which, by the way, if you have not checked out Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Leads, definitely check it out. Not sponsored. Traffic is one of the biggest issues when it comes to starting a business, especially with e-commerce. And Etsy definitely has the cheapest traffic that you will ever find on the internet right now. And if you have the right strategies, you don't have to spend anything on ads to get that traffic. In our brand new program, the Ultimate Etsy course with one-on-one coaching, you will see that we have a huge focus on driving free organic traffic through both SEO and social media strategies that don't cost you anything. So you absolutely can pay for ads with Etsy, but really, if you're willing to do the SEO and the social media, it's hardly ever worth it. Let's talk about the alternative, having your own website. You might say, well, I'll just do my SEO correctly and social media correctly with my website. Here's the problem. With your own website, you're either going to have to spend years learning the skills, or you're going to have to pay in order to create a really trustworthy, professional looking website. And I will say, people who come to me where they start a website first, they think they look great, but usually we're a little bit biased and we think it looks trustworthy because we made it, but usually it doesn't. Usually it looks slightly sketch. And then yes, you can do the SEO and the social media strategies, but your conversion is still going to be so much lower, simply because you are not an accredited website to some stranger on the internet. All right, the next thing is, let's talk about the permanency of traffic, because people say, I'll just drive social media traffic to my website. Well, the issue is driving 100 sales to your website, that is not going to significantly impact your ranking in Google search results. But if you use social media strategies to drive 100 sales to your Etsy shop, then that actually will highly impact your ranking in Etsy search results, especially if the velocity of those sales, which means they happen in a short period of time, if that happens quickly, then it's going to really help cement your position at the top of Etsy search. And at that point, then you can kind of take your foot off the gas with being so aggressive on social media. Now let's talk about trust, because we know ourselves, we think we're trustworthy, but people on the internet, they don't. Customers are used to shopping on Etsy, and they don't have to be convinced that it is a safe or reliable platform. And customers on your website, they would need much more nurturing and more touch points with you to be convinced that it is safe enough to buy. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all about scaling businesses. That is what I love to do. And that is why I love working with our 2,000 plus students. Some of them come in without a shop, and then some of them come in and they are doing 1 to 8 million a year. At that point, we are scaling, we are stabilizing. And part of that process is not only staying on Etsy. So it's not my philosophy that you should only stay on Etsy, but short term, we use Etsy to build a business as quickly as possible, to establish your brand. And we want to leverage the Etsy platform and all of those customers that they are paying to come onto their platform to become your customers. We are all about the long game. Nothing that is a get rich quick scheme is going to work long term, which means it's not really worth your time. You always have to start with one platform when you're doing e-commerce, and Etsy is the best one with the lowest overhead and the fastest results. It is also one of the most competitive, which is actually a good thing. And let me explain what I mean by that. Capitalism, right? I probably just lost about 2% of you. Unsubscribe. That's okay, because capitalism is what has made America what it is. Competition is a good thing. Competition is going to be what makes your business better. It makes you a better business owner. It's going to make your product better, and it forces businesses to deliver a better customer experience. All of those things impact and benefit the consumer in the end. So if you are someone who is really ready to play the long game with Etsy, and you've decided you're ready to give it all you've got, I'd love to hear from you. Those are the people I like to connect with. We, meaning myself and my team, would love to hop on a free call with you. Yes, I still hop on these calls to meet you and learn about your business as well. And we can actually show you what the path forward looks like when you're looking at your business on Etsy as the long game. Not to mention, you can see our 2,000 plus student base sharing their stats, showing how well they are doing and how quickly they are seeing results. And when you work with us, you are in this community of ambitious Etsy sellers who are really treating their business like the long game, and they are committed and driven. And it's really, really inspiring to be in that type of environment when you are starting up a business or scaling your current business. Just schedule a free call with that link in the description box. If you like videos about turning your Etsy shop into a real long-term business, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.
The month before I started the program, I made $696. The first month after joining the coaching program, I made $4,149, and that came from 133 orders in my Etsy shop.